Imagine being trapped inside your own coffin, forever. You cannot move. You cannot breathe, you feel your flesh rot inside a prison of ceramite and steel. The only thing keeping you alive is a machine that whispers prayers to the Emperor and pumps fire through your veins instead of blood. They call it a dreadnought, a walking sarcophagus, a legend made into metal. But what happens when the battle ends, and the silence begins? Today, we'll step into the mind of Brother Atheon of the Blood Angels, once a proud warrior of the Imperium, now a soul forever trapped between life and death. This is his story, and once you've seen what he feels, you'll never hear the sound of a dreadnought's footsteps the same way again. That he remembered the light, the blinding white of the apothecarium, the taste of blood and ashes in his throat, the faint echo of battle still ringing in his ears. Atheon had been mortally wounded on the fields of Armageddon. His brothers fell around him as orc shells rained down. His armor was shattered, his body broken. Yet his spirit burned, unwilling to yield. As his heartbeat slowed, a single voice cut through the chaos, Chaplain Orjan, his mentor and friend, Brother Atheon. You have fought valiantly. The Emperor still has use for you. Sleep now, and awaken when called. And then, nothing. Darkness. No dreams. No death. Until he awoke to metal, the first sound was the groan of servos. The first feeling, weight. His thoughts were like echoes inside an endless cavern. He could hear his own heart, no, a pump, thudding somewhere behind his chest plate. When he tried to scream, only vox static came out. Brother Atheon, can you hear me? It was the voice of the tech marine. You are reborn within the sarcophagus of the Dreadnought. You serve again. He should have felt pride. He should have felt honored, but instead, he felt fear. He couldn't feel his hands. He couldn't feel his face. There was no heartbeat, only the cold rhythm of machinery. He could see, but not with eyes, through optical lenses. He could hear, but the world sounded distant, filtered, artificial. Days turned into weeks, weeks into years. They deployed him again and again, to the front lines, to the worlds where men screamed and died by the millions. He tore through orcs, chaos marines, and tyrannids with the wrath of a god made metal. Every swing of his power fist crushed tanks, every burst of his assault cannon tore legions apart. To his brothers, he was a saint. To himself, he was a ghost. Between battles, they would place him in the reliquary chamber, a dark hangar filled with slumbering dreadnoughts. The silence there was unbearable. He could still hear the creaking of his armor, the distant whispers of machine spirits. But worst of all were the voices of the other dreadnoughts. How long has it been, brother? I do not remember the taste of air. The Emperor preserves us, but at what cost? He realized then, they were not heroes. They were relics, men who should have died, but were too valuable to be allowed peace. The Imperium called it honor, Atheon called it eternal imprisonment. Centuries passed, worlds burned and were rebuilt. Commanders came and went, but Atheon endured. He had fought for so long that he no longer remembered his own face. His memories had faded like old parchment. All that remained were fragments, a battlefield under a red sky, the laughter of his brothers, the gentle smile of a sister he had once promised to return to. But war never ends in the 41st millennium, and so neither could he, until one day, a new voice called to him through the vox. Ancient Atheon. The enemy approaches. The chapter needs you once more. He rose again, his colossal frame shaking the ground as he walked through the dust of a dying world. He saw them, tyrannids, swarming like a living tide. Beside him marched his successors, young blood angels, eyes full of fire, and for the first time in centuries, he felt something, hope. They fought as one. Bolter fire thundered, wings of jump packs soared, and Atheon waded through the Xenos horde like a living god of war. Limbs and ichor fell before him as he shielded his brothers from the enemy's claws, but even metal has limits. The tyrannids swarmed him, tearing at his armor, breaking cables, ripping through his sarcophagus housing. Pain, real pain, burned through the neural links. Brother Atheon, fall back. No, he thundered. I will not run while my sons still stand. He crushed one final carnifex beneath his fist, then turned to see a young marine, barely more than a boy, wounded and pinned. Atheon reached out, shielding him with his massive frame as plasma fire ripped through his chest. Systems failed, vision dimmed. For the first time in millennia, the silence began to feel peaceful. Emperor, let me rest. The young marine's voice trembled. Ancient Atheon, you saved us. And Atheon smiled within the dark that he couldn't move. He couldn't speak, but for the first time, he felt free. His last thought was not of war, or glory, or pain. It was of the sky, the red of sunset, the sound of laughter, and the peace he had long forgotten. The Dreadnought systems powered down. And the silence that followed, only one phrase lingered in the machine spirit's memory, even in death. I still serve. Some say the Dreadnoughts are immortal. But the truth is, they are reminders. Reminders that even the greatest heroes of the Imperium cannot escape sacrifice. That duty, once sworn, can last forever. So the next time you see a Dreadnought stride through the battlefield, remember, inside that iron tomb lies a man who has already given everything, and still fights on. For the Emperor.